Ruben Amorim received questions from the press again ahead of the game against Fulham at Old Trafford in the FA Cup. And the overall analysis of the press conference was centered around all of the things that were going on around Manchester United. Maybe because it's just a part one of the press conference, but you're welcome to the press conference review, United Talks podcast. Once again, thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. If you haven't already, please do like, share, subscribe so you don't have to miss any updates or anything as it relates to Manchester United. Now, the pre-match press conference ahead of Manchester United's FA Cup clash against Fulham at Old Trafford provided insights into the team's current state, the manager's perspective on key players, and the challenges facing the club. Ruben Amorim, the manager, in his hypothetical scenario, addressed several pressing issues, basically including Bruno Fernandes' leadership and the importance of the FA Cup and the situation surrounding young players like Alejandro Garnacho, Patrick Dogo, and the broader issues managing the high club like Manchester, a high-profile club like Manchester United. Now, this press conference highlighted the delicate balance between players, managing expectations, and preparing for future challenges. I believe that maybe the based on what I've seen in the whole press conference, this is all centered around the current issues, and maybe part two, if we eventually get the chance to review it, will be centered around the basically the team's preparation ahead of Fulham, because they barely asked him any questions with regards to the team's performance ahead of Fulham. First one was Bruno Fernandes. The question, I think, the first question that was asked was surrounding any new injuries, but this one we're gonna just break down the key topics that was talked about. First and foremost is the defense of Bruno. Strongly defended Bruno Fernandes against criticism from Roy Keane, who questioned questioned Bruno's leadership quality. I mean, he emphasized that Bruno is important to the team, describing him as a player who consistently shoulders responsibility and thrives in difficult situations. He attributed his visible frustrations on the pitch to the team's overall struggles rather than just the lack of leadership. And that is what the issue is. I mean, that's what most fans and most pundits and stuff focus on when they're talking about Bruno. They just focus on basically, oh, he's always throwing his arms, he's throwing tantrums, he's pointing blames, like we did with the 4-minute rant that Roy Keane had on the overlap, right? So, but Amorim acknowledged Keane's high standards. Obviously, I mean, everybody respects Keane. Nobody disrespects him. In our responses, we're not saying we disrespect him or taking away his honors, but Amorim just focused on building up the team than just tearing it down with our words, right? So he acknowledged Keane's high standards, but disagreed with his assessment, suggesting that Bruno's passion and his desire to win are often misinterpreted as criticisms of teammates. This defense highlights Amorim's trust in Fernandes as a leader and his ability to manage the pressure of captaining a club like Manchester United. There's a whole lot to break down in this, but the fact that Ruben Amorim has defended Bruno is key. And he said in one of the statements he made, he said that I am the coach. So it is me, it's my opinion that matters, not the opinion of Roy Keane or anybody outside. So it's my opinion, despite the fact that we don't disrespect anything that Roy Keane has done for the club. And then basically, I think as part of the first few questions that was asked, one of the questions that was asked was about the importance of the FA Cup and then team news. So Amorim stressed the importance of the FA Cup, noting that every competition is crucial at Manchester United, especially given the team's recent struggles. I mean, he emphasized on the psychological boost that comes with winning and the need to build momentum with back-to-back home victories. So he's expected that he was talking about us expecting to have back-to-back home victories. But with regards to injury updates, he confirmed that no players will be returning from injury for the Fulham game, indicating that the squad remains stretched. This highlights the ongoing challenge of managing a team with limited resources and depth. So, with regards to immediately after that question, the next question that followed was the elephant in the room that they didn't want to let go of, and that was the Alejandro Garnacho situation. Now, he clarified the incident by saying, Amorim downplayed the incident involving Alejandro Garnacho, right? He left the bench during the game to change his clothes and watched the rest of the game from a different location. Amorim described the situation as a misunderstanding, and and used it as a teaching moment about the importance of perception at the club like Manchester United. In his words, he exactly said, and the truth is, you could see that he was laughing about it because he's giving the media what the media wants. So he tends to say the right things. He's giving them what they want to hear, right? So he talked about it, and then he said Ganacho's punishment of paying for the team's dinner was a light-hearted way to address the incident, while reinforcing the need for professionalism. Amorim's handling of the situation reflects on his focus on developing young players and helping them navigate the pressure of playing for a high-profile club like Manchester United, and also trying to find the balance to manage these guys. So, he's saying the right things and saying what they want to hear because, I mean, the situation was 2 days old, and he said, "Oh, we might talk about it in the next press conference. Why don't you just let it go?" But then all he had to do was ask again. "Oh, you talked about the Alejandro Garnacho. Any update on that?" Come on. But it is what it is. And then I think Melissa Reddy asked a question around recruitment and financial constraints, and she threw the question like, is there any plan for the season, for the next season, and all of that, and what's the plan? Is there any assurances that the board is giving you and all that, especially with summer plans and recruitment plans? Amorim acknowledged that the financial constraints facing the club is there, it's evident for all to see, but emphasized the importance of planning for the future. He highlighted the need to make strategic deals and the ongoing work of strengthening the squad and the academy. Now, with uncertainty, Amorim could not provide guarantees. As he says, there are no guarantees about specific signings, but he expressed confidence in the club's long term vision. Now, this reflects the reality of managing a club like Manchester United with financial situations while striving to remain competitive. And then Melissa Reddy went on to ask about Dogu's red card and support for young players. And Amorim downplayed the significance of Dogu's red card. Sorry to get my words out. Red card, describing it as a normal part of football. He emphasized the need to support young players through difficult moments and highlighted Dogu's potential to be an important player for the team. Now, with managing criticisms, Amorim acknowledged the intense scrutiny and the criticisms that the club that comes with playing for Manchester United, particularly for young players. His approach reflects on focus. Reflects a focus on nurturing talent and helping players develop resilience, basically. And then on the goalkeeping situation with regards to Andrew Onana, Amorim defended Onana. Amorim defended Andrew Onana, acknowledging that the goalkeeper has had ups and downs, but emphasized the need to support him. He attributed some of Onana's struggles to the team's overall performance rather than individual errors. So it's more like a team sport than individual errors. But then everybody would focus on errors leading to goals and stuff. So, but it is what it is. Now, with looking ahead, Amorim's focus on preparing for future games rather than dwelling on past mistakes reflects on his pragmatic approach to managing the team. He's always all about let's move on, let's not dwell on it, because you dwell on it, it pulls you back, right? Then his reference to modern players and social media, which I touched a little bit in the update with Alejandro Garnacho, is that there's the challenges of social media. He was asked a question about modern players and social media, and Amorim discussed the unique challenges modern players face with social media and the constant scrutiny. And he argued that players need to deal with criticisms as the environment is very different from previous eras, right? Now, the perception and pressure, Amorim highlighted the importance of perception at a club like Manchester United and the need for players to understand the broader context of their actions. And his comments reflects on the awareness of the psychological challenges faced by players in the modern game. And with regards to Alejandro Garnacho's availability, he stated that he received a knock, but expects him to be available for the next game. I mean, around the time when he was about to go score the goal that he was hacked down in the penalty box, but it wasn't given to us as a penalty. And he emphasized the need to wait for further assessment, reflecting on the cautious approach to managing player fitnesses. Amorim reiterated that Garnacho is a young player and he's still learning at the club and is focused on helping him grow both on and off the pitch. Now, the key takeaways with regards to that is that leadership and criticism. Amorim, um, he defended Bruno, and he believed in Bruno Fernandes, and he stated and reiterated his belief in the leadership and his importance to the team, and also highlighted the challenges of managing criticisms in the modern game. He also talked about youth development and long-term planning, and also the psychological challenges with being at the club like Manchester United. Overall, the press conference provided a comprehensive overview of the challenges and priorities facing Manchester United under Ruben Amorim's leadership. Now, from defending key players to Bruno Fernandes, from defending key players like Bruno Fernandes and Alejandro Garnacho to managing young talents like Garnacho and Dogu, and planning for the future, Amorim demonstrated a balanced approach to navigating complexities of managing a club like Manchester United, and his focus immediately on long-term development, coupled with the pragmatic handling of immediate issues, suggests a manager who is committed to building a sustainable future for the club while addressing the demands of the present. Now, you can see that for the most part of part one, they were not really talking about the game, Fulham. They were not even talking about. I'm guessing in part two they're going to ask about the how Fulham play and all of that. But we already gave you a breakdown of how Fulham played, how Fulham usually play, and in our match preview. So go watch that video. It's already out there. Just watch it and tell me what you think, as well as this one as well. So basically, that's all about the part one of the press conference, and that's more of the information. And usually, the reason why we do these reviews is to get a sense of the mindset of the head coach and how he plans to approach the game. And then also injury updates and maybe any other news that he can provide from the inside. Obviously, Amorim is that smart, because if you look at the way he analyzed the Garnacho situation, you could see the smile and the laughter in his face, because he says, "Oh, it was funny that he came the next morning." He's feeding the press what they want to hear. He says it's funny that he came the next day and talked about it, and I made my investigation, and the guy dealt with the situation internally and never, talked to, and you could tell probably Alejandro Garnacho received reasonable advice not to even say anything or post anything or stuff. It's just interesting how people approach things. I mean, if it were to be some other players, they'll probably take it differently. But Alejandro Garnacho, probably Bruno Fernandes already even called him, and then the situation was dealt with. So there is no big deal in this situation, but I don't know why we're making an issue out of it, because you see a lot of people on social media talking and trash talking the player, as well as saying other things. I before I even came up with the Roy Keane criticism and destruction and the disrespect of Bruno Fernandes, I went online and I looked at what people were saying, especially people who were commenting and reposting on that same post by the overlap and all. And you could see that most fans were not happy with the lines crossed by Roy Keane, despite the fact that Ian Wright was trying to defend Bruno and saying, "Oh, it's not all on Bruno." But then, what can we say? We have to say what we have to say and do what we have to do, and move on to the next thing and push for the success of the club. That's the most important thing. Anyway, thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing, and thank you for watching to this point. Let me know your thoughts and feelings about Ruben Amorim in totality and everything in between, and then let's build from there. Thank you so much. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye, and God bless.